What if I told you that the passing of a 71-year-old man today could teach us something that might change the way we live the rest of our lives? It may sound strange, but the truth is, sometimes the most profound lessons come from the lives of those who have lived through the struggles, triumphs, and inevitable aging process. Today, we're going to talk about the life of a man who, though no longer with us, left behind lessons that are incredibly valuable for all of us, especially as we grow older. Why does his death matter? What can we learn from it? In this video, we'll explore the key lessons his life can offer us, lessons that can help us make better choices, nurture our relationships, and live with more purpose as we age. Stick around to find out what this 71-year-old man can teach us about living a fuller, wiser life, no matter our age. The life of the 71-year-old man. Let me tell you about a man named John. John was 71 when he passed away this morning. He wasn't a famous celebrity or a world-renowned scholar, but to those who knew him, he was a man full of wisdom, heart, and stories that stretched far beyond his years. John lived a quiet life in a small town, but his life was anything but ordinary. He had a humble beginning, growing up in a time when every day was a struggle, but he always found a way to persevere. He spent his early years working hard on a farm, waking up before the sun to tend to the animals, and working until his hands ached. But it wasn't just physical work that shaped him. It was the wisdom he gathered along the way. John knew the value of hard work, but he also understood that life wasn't just about surviving, it was about living with intention. He would often say, "Life's too short to worry about the small stuff," and that was a lesson he shared with everyone who crossed his path. As John grew older, he found peace in the simple things. A quiet walk through the woods, sitting by the fire with a good book, or spending time with his grandchildren, sharing stories of a time that seemed so far removed from their digital world. But his life wasn't without challenges. He lost his wife many years ago to illness, and that loss left a hole in his heart that never quite healed. Still, John never let grief define him. He continued to live, to give, and to love, proving that even in the face of hardship, it's possible to move forward with grace. There are countless memories from his life that have left a lasting impact. I remember the way he would sit at the local diner, chatting with anyone who would listen. He had a way of making everyone feel important, like their story mattered. Whether it was a stranger or an old friend, John never judged. He just listened, offering wisdom, comfort, and the occasional joke to lighten the mood. His legacy wasn't in the things he owned, but in the way he made others feel. Understanding John's life is important because it teaches us that a meaningful life isn't measured by accolades or wealth. It's measured by the connections we make, the challenges we overcome, and the wisdom we leave behind. His story reminds us that every life, no matter how seemingly ordinary, carries with it lessons that can change the world for those who are willing to listen. Lesson 1: The importance of prioritizing health and wellness. As we reflect on John's life, one of the key lessons that stands out is the importance of prioritizing health and wellness. When John was younger, he didn't think much about taking care of his body. Like many of his generation, he was focused on working hard, raising a family, and getting by. He ate what was available, spent long hours on the farm, and didn't pay much attention to exercise beyond his daily chores. But as he entered his 60s, he began to notice his body wasn't responding the way it used to. His knees hurt more, his energy levels were lower, and he started to feel the weight of the years catching up with him. John's health journey wasn't the best. He was diagnosed with high blood pressure and struggled with his weight in his later years. He often joked, saying, "You don't think about the toll a lifetime of good food and bad habits will take, but by the time you realize it, your body starts giving you the bill." His choices in his younger years, eating too much processed food and not getting enough physical activity, definitely took a toll. But it wasn't too late for him to make changes. He began walking every day, even when it was just around the block. He swapped out soda for water and started cooking more meals at home using fresh ingredients. Slowly but surely, these changes began to make a difference. His blood pressure stabilized, he felt more energetic, and he was able to live his final years with more vitality than he had anticipated. John's story reminds us that it's never too late to start taking care of ourselves. For seniors, prioritizing health is essential for living a long, fulfilling life. Simple habits like walking, eating a balanced diet, and staying hydrated can have a profound impact on overall well-being. But it's not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Just ask Mary, an elderly neighbor of John's, who always made it a point to walk with him every afternoon. She's 79 now and credits her ability to remain active and independent to her consistent daily walks and a diet full of whole foods. "A good walk and a healthy meal. There's no better medicine," she says, smiling as she tells anyone who will listen. In John's case, his late start on health habits proves that it's not too late to change, and even small improvements can make a big difference. Prioritizing health and wellness in our later years helps us to enjoy more energy, independence, and ultimately a higher quality of life. It's a lesson we all can take to heart as we look toward our own futures. Lesson number 2, the value of relationships and connection. One of the most powerful lessons John's life can teach us is the immense value of relationships and connection. Throughout his 71 years, John was never alone, not because he didn't experience loss or struggle, but because he always made an effort to stay connected with the people around him. His family, friends, and even members of his community were never far from his heart. John had an innate ability to make others feel important, and he worked hard to nurture those relationships throughout his life. Whether it was gathering with his children for Sunday dinners or taking the time to check on his neighbors, John understood that meaningful connections were what made life truly worth living. As John grew older, he faced the loss of many close friends and family members. But instead of retreating into loneliness, he continued to build new bonds. He found joy in volunteering at the local senior center, where he made friends with others who, like him, were experiencing the challenges of aging. He often said, "It's the people you surround yourself with that give life its meaning. The more you share with others, the more your life feels full." This lesson became even clearer when John's health began to decline. His community rallied around him, offering help, companionship, and support. He realized that the more effort he put into connecting with others, the more he received in return. Unfortunately, not all older adults are as fortunate when it comes to relationships. Loneliness and neglect in old age can have serious consequences on both mental and physical health. Studies show that social isolation in seniors can lead to higher risks of depression, cognitive decline, and even premature death. This is why it's so important to actively cultivate relationships and stay engaged with others. John knew the value of these connections, but many people aren't as lucky. That's why it's crucial for us to reach out and stay connected with the elderly members of our own families and communities. A simple phone call, a weekly visit, or even a regular check-in can make a world of difference. Take Rose, for example, another neighbor of John's. She's 82 now and lives alone. She often reflects on how important it was for her to build strong connections with others, especially after her husband passed away. "When my husband died, I thought I'd just close off and be by myself," Rose shares. "But then I realized it wasn't just the love of a partner I needed. It was the love and support of a whole community. The people around me are what keep me going." Rose has since become an active member of the local book club, and she cherishes the friendships she's made there. John's life teaches us that relationships aren't just nice to have. They're vital for a fulfilling and healthy life, especially as we grow older. Whether through family, friends, or community involvement, nurturing relationships is one of the most important things we can do to ensure we live well in our later years. As John showed us, it's never too late to build meaningful connections that will enrich your life and help you through the challenges that come with aging. Lesson number 3: finding peace and acceptance in aging. John's approach to aging was one of quiet acceptance. He never fought it. He didn't try to cling to his youth, nor did he resent the signs of aging that appeared with time. Instead, he embraced the changes that came with getting older, choosing to focus on the beauty in the present moment rather than lamenting what was behind him. For John, aging was just another chapter in the story of his life, one that he had come to appreciate more as he grew older. He often said, "The years don't add up to something to fear. They add up to something to be grateful for." This peaceful acceptance of aging is something we can all learn from. In a world where youth is often glorified, it's easy to get caught up in the pressure to remain forever young. But John showed us that there's peace in simply letting go and making the most of where we are in life. By accepting the changes that come with age, we can let go of the stress and disappointment that often accompany growing older. Instead, we can focus on cultivating wisdom, building meaningful connections, and savoring the moments that matter most. John's life taught us that aging is not a loss, but a gift. In speaking with Mary, who is now in her 80s, she shared how she has found peace with aging. "I don't try to fight it anymore. I have my aches and pains, yes, but I've learned to listen to my body, to take things slow, and to enjoy the little moments." Mary emphasizes the importance of self-compassion, saying that accepting our limitations doesn't mean giving up. It means finding new ways to live fully. She says that in her 70s, she discovered the joy of gardening at a slower pace, and in her 80s, she takes longer walks, appreciating the simple act of moving. The lesson here is clear. Finding peace in aging comes from shifting our mindset. It's about embracing the process with dignity, finding joy in the present, and treating ourselves with kindness. Just like John and Mary, we can choose to age gracefully, with acceptance and a deep sense of inner peace. Lesson number 4: the legacy of wisdom and experience. One of the most powerful things John left behind was his legacy of wisdom and life lessons. Though he never wrote a book or made a public speech, his impact on the people around him was profound. John had a way of sharing his experiences through stories, advice, and simply living by example that shaped the lives of everyone he met. Whether it was advice on how to handle adversity, how to show kindness, or how to maintain a positive outlook despite life's challenges, John's wisdom was a guiding light. He didn't need to preach. His actions spoke louder than any words ever could. John's greatest legacy, however, wasn't in the material things he left behind, but in the way he taught others to live. He shared his knowledge freely, offering guidance to younger generations, and his lessons have been passed down through the years. His children, grandchildren, and friends remember him not for the things he owned, but for the values he instilled in them. He always said, "The best thing I can leave behind is the way I made people feel and the lessons I taught them." His ability to impart his wisdom was his true gift, and it continues to influence those who were lucky enough to know him. This is a reminder for all of us to think about the legacy we want to leave. As we age, the lessons we've learned and the experiences we've gained become our most valuable assets. We may not all have a large platform to share our stories, but we can still make a lasting impact on those around us by passing on the knowledge we've gained. Think about the younger people in your life. What lessons can you offer them? How can you help them avoid the mistakes you've made or guide them in their own journeys? Every interaction, every conversation, every shared moment of wisdom is a chance to leave a meaningful legacy. So, as we reflect on John's life and his legacy, we're reminded that the greatest gift we can give to future generations is the wisdom and experience we've gathered over the years. It's not about fame or fortune, but about the connections we make and the lessons we leave behind. What kind of legacy do you want to create for those who come after you? Lesson number 5. The importance of embracing every moment. As we think about John's final moments, it's clear that he was at peace with the life he lived. He was never one for regrets. In fact, just a few weeks before he passed, John sat with me and said, "I've done my best to live fully, whether that meant working hard or sitting quietly with a cup of tea. It's all been part of the journey." Despite his health struggles, John had an ability to savor each moment, no matter how small. He was ready when the time came, not because he had everything figured out, but because he had made peace with his life and embraced every day as a gift. He lived with intention, and that's the real lesson here, making the most of every single day, no matter our age. Too often, we get caught up in waiting for the right time to enjoy life, waiting for retirement, waiting for the kids to grow up, or waiting for some other milestone. But John's life teaches us that the time to live fully is always now. Even in his 70s, he would find joy in the little things, a walk in the park, reading a good book, or sharing a laugh with a friend. His final lesson to us is clear. Life is fleeting, and it's up to us to embrace each day, regardless of how old we are. Mary, who's also in her 80s, shared a powerful reflection with me about living fully. She said, "When I was younger, I always thought there'd be time for everything. But as I get older, I realize that every day matters. I don't waste time on things that don't bring me joy or peace. I focus on the people I love, the things I care about, and the moments that matter most." Mary's words are a reminder that we all have the power to make our days meaningful, whether we're 20 or 80. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about creating it in the here and now. As we look back on John's life, we can take comfort in the way he lived each day with purpose and joy. His life wasn't perfect, but it was full, and that's the best any of us can hope for. The key is embracing every moment, not waiting for life to slow down, but making time for what truly matters: relationships, experiences, and a sense of fulfillment. This is the ultimate lesson. Live fully now, because each moment is a treasure that we will never get back. Conclusion. John's life has shown us invaluable lessons about living with purpose, embracing aging with grace, and making the most of every moment. His wisdom, his relationships, and his quiet acceptance of life's changes have left a lasting legacy. As we move forward, let's take these lessons to heart and live fully, appreciating each day, no matter our age. Thank you for watching. If you found these lessons meaningful, leave a comment below with either a 9 or a 0 to show how this video resonated with you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life lessons and wisdom. Until next time, take care and live fully.